And always time for one more interview. Now, pharmaceutical experts are reevaluating the role of online pharmacies in South Africa, where many people do not have access to medication. And joining us now via Skype is Stefan Benjamin from Pharma Dynamics, who says that research has shown that purchases from online pharmacies are higher in rural areas than those in the urban areas. So let's speak to Stefan about this. Stefan, welcome. Thanks for speaking to us this morning.
Hi, good morning, Satina. Thanks a lot for having me.
Now, you say research shows that most purchases from online pharmacies actually come from rural areas in South Africa because of the distance to the pharmacies. Can you please just elaborate on that slightly?
Well, typically we've seen in the research not only for internet purchases for pharmaceutical products, but also for general retail products in general. So it's not just for pharmaceutical products, but the research has shown that there's certainly an influx in online purchases in these rural instances in South Africa. So that's sort of a vehicle forward and a way forward, which is a good result and a stat that shows that this is something that we should be pursuing.
So given that the vast majority of South Africans actually do not have access to the internet, how do they then use this service? Have you been able to ascertain that?
Well, I mean, in South Africa at the moment, we've seen a global increase and a national increase in the amount of people who are gaining access to the internet. I think the number sits at about approximately 60% of South African citizens that now have access to the internet. And that number is growing annually. And with that number growing annually and also developments in these rural areas as well as urban areas across South Africa where the right platforms being put in place, this is certainly something that could flourish in the near future in South Africa, with more and more people gaining access and following sort of a global trend with regard to this phenomenon.
Stefan, what sort of products are people able to buy online? Because if I'm not mistaken, it is still illegal to actually purchase prescription medication over the internet. Absolutely.
So the law currently states in South Africa that all pharmaceutical medication that are scheduled 1 up to schedule 7, needs to be purchased and sold in a retail pharmacy. So by and large, all e-pharmacies and online pharmacies are in fact considered illegal in South Africa. It is only in fact legal for an online pharmacy or an e-pharmacy to sell non-scheduled medication online. So it's still sort of a grey area in South Africa. Yes, there are e-pharmacies that are acting illegally in South Africa, but it is by no means the industry standard at this point.
So what sort of action is being taken to actually cull that practice because it is illegal?
I mean, it's very difficult for the Department of Health and the medical authorities to track online sort of websites and forums, and it's very difficult. Online platforms provide immense anonymity. It allows rogue operators to sort of act outside that of the law, create websites, remove websites, amend websites. At this point in time, yes, it is a key focus moving forward, especially with the internet flourishing in South Africa. But with many projects taking place at the Department of Health, this is potentially not a core focus in South Africa at this point in time, since especially there are about a handful of pharmacies acting illegally in this sense.
So what is the practice in other parts of the world? Is it legal for people to, in any part of the world, actually sell pharmaceutical products over the internet?
Yeah, so we, in America and as well as Europe, we've seen some great examples of this flourishing and taking shape. We recently saw an example by a company called PillPack. PillPack basically is an online pharmacy that pre-packages medication and sends it straight through to the customer and their clients and patients. With the use of a script from a doctor, they incorporate medical aids, they account for refills and renewals. Very, very great system that they've got going in place. And this is one of the largest and most established e-pharmacies in the United States. And we've actually saw an acquisition of PillPack by Amazon last year in 2018. So it's been a phenomenal sort of great traction gained in Europe and in America. It's been a system that's working, and I think it makes things a lot easier for the patient. I mean, you can effectively sit back, relax in your chair, and get your medication sent straight to you, prepackaged in a legal way.
And just a final one, how far off are we from having this sort of practice becoming legal?
Well, I think in South Africa, I mean, I can't comment too much on whether it's quite soon or quite late. I do know that the Department of Health is currently focusing immensely on the NHI, which they plan on rolling out in the next 10 years. There's also a big focus at the Medicines Control Council and SAPRA to push through lots of new molecules in South Africa. So in terms of the focus of e-pharmacies, I think that's pretty much on the back burner at the moment. But I do feel that this is something that the Department of Health and South African authorities should certainly focus on, to gain access and to access rural areas where people are sort of needing healthcare in South Africa, where they sometimes need to travel in excess of 25 to 30 kilometers to gain access to healthcare. And with the global trend moving in this direction, it certainly is something of major focus, and I think is a key point for the future of the Department of Health and South African health authorities.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to us, Stefan Benjamin from Pharma Dynamics, who has been talking to us about online pharmacies. And so, Leanne, if you've been ordering stuff online from a pharmacy, any pharmaceutical stuff, it's illegal.
Okay, I haven't been doing it. I've been ordering shoes and clothes, I promise. None of that stuff. Have a wonderful day. So you're out tomorrow.
I'm off to Kolobeni.
Please.
We'll be in Kolobeni for tomorrow's
Just take care
broadcast.
of yourself, for goodness sakes.
I'm going to get